Well, hello there. I'm Jessica Sheaffer, Master Certified Life Coach, also a certified breathwork facilitator. I have over, I guess, like 24 years now in the realm of healing and expansion and transformation. And I made this video specifically for you, especially if you are struggling to make a change in your life. You're feeling very stuck. And this is also part three. If you happen to catch my other two videos, I had a little exercise in that second video. And if you didn't watch it, I will have you do that first before we dive into the presentation, because it's going to give you some insight into yourself and where you're stuck. But wherever you are, I just welcome you to my work. And I really am passionate about helping people truly find their inner magic. Life is too short to be stuck in struggle, to not have enough money, to not have relationships that nurture and help you grow to be the best you. So, in this video, we're going to explore the power of your beliefs and mind truths, like how the mind actually works. So, are you ready to learn a little bit more about you? Awesome, here we go. So, before we begin, I'm going to give you a little exercise. I actually talked about this in my second video. The first video, I introduced people to my coaching. That second video, I talked about kind of your soul versus the path of the ego, and how a lot of us are recognizing we just can't stay in the mold that maybe our parents taught us, or this track we've been on our entire life, this career track, or perhaps how we've relationshiped. It's just not working. And so, just offering you insight that when it comes time to really make a big shift in our life, oftentimes we need support and we need someone to help point out our blind spots. So, the exercise that I gave you to start exploring your blind spots was to number one, really, really get clear to like what is like one of the most important things that you want in your life. Like, what really matters to you? Maybe that's divine partnership. Maybe it's having a really successful business. Maybe you want to travel more. Maybe you want to save a certain amount of money. Um, Maybe you want to find inner peace. Maybe you want all those things. But I want you to think of the one thing in your life right now that really, really matters to you. Okay. And here's what you're going to do. You're going to spend the next 5 minutes telling me, writing it down, all the reasons why you don't have what it is that you want. And I'm talking about your past experiences, the failures, the fears, the doubts, the beliefs, your hangups, other people, the government, your parents, not having enough money, bad investments, your teacher, the weather, bad luck, all of it. I just want you to get it out. So for 5 minutes, you're going to sit down and write that. And if you've already done it, great. If you haven't, now would be a good time to hit pause and do the exercise, because I want you to get everything out and be able to look at all the reasons, because this will be important in understanding yourself. Okay. So hit pause if you haven't done it, and then come back and we will move on to helping you understand your mind a little bit more. Okay. So hopefully you did the exercise. And before we dive into helping you do some exploration of yourself, I wanted you to understand a little bit about your mind and how it works, because I will tell you personally, my mind is a bit stubborn and has had some heavy programming. And I have really, really done a lot internally to work with my mind to have it become more my ally than my enemy. And in almost every single person or every situation with every person that I've coached, and whatever sort of scenario or anything they're moving through, it's so interesting how the mind can be really stubborn and not want to change and make up excuses and have a lot of fear and have a lot of resistance. So just know you're probably struggling with some of your beliefs, and um, part of the reason why you're stuck is because of your programming. So I want to teach you that you actually have the power to really drive your mind. You have the power. You are the driver of your mind. The mind doesn't control you, except if it's a bad little puppy. If it's an untrained puppy, it will control you. So I'm going to teach you, number one, like, how does your mind work? What's really going on? And then give you some insight into how to start shifting some of your belief systems, because truly we create from our belief systems. And as I say here, this is what I intend to teach you, that you ultimately choose your reality. And with every thought, you set things in motion. And the way I like to frame this is, it's like going up to the drive-up window to place an order for your burger. If you're not very clear that you want a cheeseburger all the way with fries and a strawberry milkshake, and you tell the person there something completely different, and then you go up to the next window expecting to get your, your cheeseburger all the way with fries and a strawberry shake, and it's not what you got, and you're like, well, you didn't ask for it. You weren't clear. So a lot of us don't realize that we're continuously producing thoughts, and we're continuously saying things, and we're continuously living out a program that's actually not in alignment with our truth. And then we wonder why, when we get to that window, we don't get what we want, because everything we're putting out to the universe is not in alignment. Is this starting to make a little sense? Okay, so a little bit about yourself. Your mind's top priority is survival. Its job is to keep you safe. So this really goes back to when we were cave people, and think about like our early origins. We were prey at one time, and I think we've all heard about that saber-toothed tiger. And certainly when you're out with your pack, your tribe of humans, you're kind of the most vulnerable if you're the one in the back of the pack, right? Because that saber-toothed tiger can come pick you off pretty easily. So from our very early origins, when we really were just focused on survival, it really was about keeping you safe. So the mind learned early on, my number one priority is to keep you safe, because your survival is dependent on it. So I think we can all agree that is one of the major jobs that mind plays, okay? So here's the deal. Our unconscious mind gets the bulk of its programming from the ages of 0 and 7. And essentially, this is when our belief system is formed. So let's just say, to use that kind of that saber-toothed tiger as an example, say you were living in that existence. We just, went back in time to another life where you're a cave person, and you were living in that constant state. As soon as I stepped outside my cave, I had to be very hyper vigilant, because that tiger may come after me. And let's just say we could go back in time and pluck you up and put you in the time of now. I guarantee you, if you were to leave your home structure, you probably would just naturally go out and you look, make sure you're safe, because you've lived your whole life doing that. So that becomes your programming. So what a lot of people don't realize is your behaviors, your patterns, your belief system pretty much gets formed between the age of 0 and 7. So a lot of this time, you probably don't even have memory. And most of us, even if we came from amazing childhoods and amazing parents, probably have some experiences in there that weren't too pleasant. In fact, most of us have what's called trauma, and specifically developmental trauma. That's like, say, having a parent who was maybe a little controlling, a little bit hard on you. And as a result, as pictured here by that woman in the slideshow, maybe she learned it wasn't safe for her to fully be herself, because her parent wanted her to be a certain way. So she wanted to maybe, take dance classes and be a performer. And that parent had decided, in order to stay safe and be successful in the world, you got to be more academically wired. And so this girl learned from a young age, I can't fully be myself. And so what she ended up doing is just suppressing her magic. See, she suppressed all her creativity. And as a strategy, she became a people pleaser. So it was all about how to make everybody else happy in life, all the while feeling like something's missing here. This is actually a personality pattern. It's called the enduring pattern. So maybe some of us right now hearing this are relating to that. So I want you to see that those experiences formed who you are. And then we become adults. And life, of course, gets a lot more challenging. We're faced with a lot more responsibility. And if our programming is you can't show your true colors, you can't be your real self, most likely you've developed a strategy where you're just being that version of what your parent wanted you to be. And as a result, maybe you're depressed, maybe you have a lot of anxiety, maybe you struggle in your relationships. So I really want you to see that a lot of people don't realize that when they go to make a transition in their life, say going from being, fully employed to I want to be self-employed, or going from I've been in a 25-year marriage, I'm now single. When you go to make those big shifts, if you don't have some new strategies and you don't really believe in yourself, it's going to make that shift pretty challenging. And in fact, a lot of people don't grow because they're still stuck in the old belief or that old strategy. Okay. And I have that last picture there with the empty wallet because how many of us still feel like I don't have enough money? I don't have enough abundance. I don't have enough prosperity. I don't have enough saved. I mean, I would say hands down, this is pretty common that people struggle with their finances. So I want you to just sort of be open to this idea that maybe you're struggling because, you have some beliefs around why money is scarce or you got to sacrifice to get it. Okay, so we're going to be taking a look at that. Next to mind truth, with the thoughts we have, feelings are created, and those feelings lead to behaviors and patterns. So I alluded to this in the previous slide, and that is essentially based on those experiences we had as children, and as we move through our childhood and grow into adulthood, we develop patterns. So in that picture of those two women, they're having a very heated discussion. Obviously, they're angry. And so some of us have developed that pattern where the moment we feel threatened, we don't feel safe, we get very defensive, when really it's just we don't feel safe, but we have an unhealthy way of dealing with it. And of course, I think we all know using drugs, alcohol's not there, but alcohol, even money in an unhealthy way, having an addiction to money through, just not having a healthy relationship to it, especially with substance abuse and, of course, overeating foods. The reality is the reason why we utilize those as coping strategies is because we don't feel good. So we're smoking a cigarette, we're drinking alcohol, we're taking a drug, we're comfort eating because we don't like the current experience of what we're feeling and we want to feel something different. And those strategies aren't always effective because at some point, usually, especially from a health perspective, it's going to catch up with us. Okay. And then down below, I have a couple pictures representing more healthy strategies. And that is, the hands coming together, really showing collaboration, teamwork. And the truth is, when you trust others, when you believe in common good and a common purpose, you're better able to collaborate. And the woman meditating, if you have healthy self-care practices as far as meditation, taking care of yourself, you're generally going to have more health and vitality. So here's the truth. Your mind gets triggered, or your mind triggers the fear response at any sign of you entering uncertainty, the unknown, unfamiliar. Because of the mind, they are unsafe. And your mind will do everything in its power to keep you away from that. It will also do what it can to keep you the same. And your brain essentially always does what it thinks you want to do based on past programming. So here in this visual, we have a woman here presenting to a group. And I think this is a pretty common fear of a lot of people, and that is getting up in front of people. And going back to my first analogy, being that, in your tribe and going out into nature, and if you're the guy in the back, you're most likely the one who's going to get picked off by that saber-toothed tiger. Well, for a lot of people, getting up in front of others triggers that same stress response. And if your brain doesn't like anything that's scary, that's uncertain, that's unknown, that's unfamiliar, it's going to want to hide itself, right? And what if getting out on stage means the potential of, I may look dumb, I may not be effective. If I'm not effective, I may not gain clients from this experience. I could be fired. I may be unliked. People may not want to get to know me or hire me or be my friend. And that, of course, puts us in this threat of, I'm going to be kind of ostracized from the tribe. I'm going to be alone, and therefore I'm not safe. So this is why so many of us, when we go to make changes in our life, if it's unfamiliar, we may want to rush back and do what's familiar. It's like the classic person who we call this anxious attached. You have to be in a relationship to be safe. So you get out of one relationship. You can't even spend time alone, and you're immediately looking for somebody else because that's your safety strategy. So I want you to know that your mind's programmed that way. Your mind learns through repetition. I think we all know here in America our ABCs. And chances are you started learning it very young and you sing it over and over and over and over, right? And we all know it. In fact, you can turn on maybe music if you're as old as me from the 80s, and maybe not. My sister, who's much younger than me and has more lyrical knowledge, and she's like, what, 15 years or something younger than me? I mean, she's got an amazing mind. So, repetition is how we master a practice, right? So this is why when you go to make a change, it's important to practice it because if you don't practice it, it doesn't become second nature. So your tendency is going to be to go back to what's familiar. And so when you want to create a change, you got to repeat the change. So your mind is always collaborating with you are always collaborating with your mind with images you create in your head and the words you speak. Whatever you see and say informs your reality. Oh boy, this is a big one. So it goes back to my very first analogy. That is, whatever you are sort of saying, whatever is coming out of your mouth, ultimately is the reality you're going to create. If you can finally embrace that you are truly a powerful being, and me as a spiritual person does believe that we are all fractals of God, of love, source, infinite intelligence. So we are essentially part of that power. We're a piece of that power. For those of you that are maybe Christian, you are created in God's image. And so I want you to understand that you literally have the power to create with your words and what you think. And a lot of us don't realize that our reality, what we're seeing out in front of us, the people, the places, the things, the circumstances, are all part of our co-creation. It literally is like a projector. And if you don't start to see that what you don't like is really part of your creation, and you do what a lot of people do is, well, I'll just remove what's in front of me and then expect my reality to change. It's probably just going to be a temporary change, and nothing's really going to change over the long term. If you want to make changes in your life, it really starts with you. It really starts within you. It's like if you want to be healthy and vital and have a slim figure, then you have to become the person who lives out the embodiment of that. If you just simply try to exercise and eat a little bit better, but you don't change your identity and how you believe about yourself and your beliefs, you'll never really be able to be that person who's healthy and vibrant because you don't actually embody it. You don't believe it. So a very powerful way to start to change right now, like from the time you watch this, moving forward, is to start to listen to yourself speak. And to start to claim, just like that drive-through, claim what it is that you desire. So you use the words, I choose. I choose happiness, success, and abundance. I am powerful. I am love. I am here to help this planet be a happier, healthier place. So a little tidbit about that. Your unconscious mind doesn't hear, I'm healthy when you say, I don't want to be sick or I don't want to be broke. What it hears is, I'm sick. It doesn't hear that I don't. So if you think by changing your words, if you still use words that reinforce the negative behavior, it's going to be hard to change. And also, by the way, did you know your unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between when you're speaking about yourself and when you're speaking about somebody else? So if you are speaking negatively about someone else, your mind thinks you're talking about yourself. So if you really want to have an instantaneous change in your experience, and I firmly believe in instantaneous shifts, change your languaging Because remember, you are a master of this experience. You have the power to change it. Therefore, you will always see what you are looking for, and ultimately, whatever you believe will be proven. What you focus on, you get more of, and where you focus is where you end up investing your energy. So write that down. Whatever I believe, I will prove. And your reality is always reflecting that. So that's the gift of the universe, is it's always showing us where we need to do our work. And what a lot of us have been taught is the codependent strategy, which is it's someone else's fault. It's the government's fault. It's my neighbor's fault. It's my parents' fault. Someone else is the reason why I'm not having a good experience. But the truth is, they're just reflecting something within you that says somehow you're not responsible for your experience. Because at some level, you don't feel powerful enough to change your reality. And I'm here to tell you, yes, you do, because whatever you believe, you will ultimately prove it. So if you believe you don't deserve and the world is unfair, you will prove that. So your mind does not know the difference between what you are envisioning and what is actually physically happening. This is why it's so powerful. And what I teach all my coaching clients to do from the very first session is to start getting into the vision of their ultimate reality. Like if you could choose any reality, what would it be? And it has to be believable. So, choose what you really want to create, because the subconscious mind can only really absorb what is actually believable. Because if you don't believe it's going to work, you can't create it. So be very, very clear about what that looks like. And then practice seeing it in your mind's eye, and you will start to recode your mind. Also, you are not your mind. You are the being who has the mind and the ability to program it. So you're not a victim. It's not like, oh, I don't know, I just can't do it. My mind won't allow me. No, you can reprogram it. This is called neuroplasticity. It's ability to literally give the mind a new way of operating. So you are the person who's in the driver's seat, not your mind. Like I said, unless it's a little naughty puppy who you haven't trained, that little puppy will keep chewing away on everything. And that's probably what your mind's doing. It's chewing on everything. Okay. You're not your mind. You are the being who has the mind. You are the artist, the director, the instructor, and you get to choose the reality. You have the keys, the key to the universe right here. So here's how it works. Your thoughts are like options. Your thoughts are like a buffet. You get to choose what serves you and to how you want to feel. And you ultimately create through your feelings, your patterns and behaviors, which lead to a result. So going back to that exercise that we talked about a moment ago, what I'd like you to do is look at everything that you wrote down. And I want you to look at, in all of that, if you were to pull out kind of the most common negative belief, like maybe even just reading it all, you can look at that and go, wow, I really don't believe I'm worthy of that thing. I really don't believe I'm smart enough. I really don't believe I'm lovable. So pull out the one belief that sort of encapsulates everything you wrote, okay? And then write that down. And this is the thought loop. So this is how it works. We have a thought, we have a belief, okay? We think about it, maybe we even say it out loud, and then that's going to initiate a feeling. And those feelings are ultimately going to drive our behaviors. And then that behavior is going to lead to a result. So, for example, if someone believes I am not worthy of love, how they're probably going to feel is kind of down, depressed, sad, ashamed, worthless, unseen, unheard. I feel just very small feeling into that. And as a result, they may isolate themselves. They may try to overgive in relationships, like the people pleasing pattern, in the hopes of getting back. They may allow behavior from others that they shouldn't. And they may, as a defense mechanism, get angry and yell. And so that just reinforces the pattern, which is they feel like they're stuck in unhealthy relationships. They literally feel stuck. They don't grow and they're tired. In fact, a lot of people that I work with who are in relationships where there's a lot of conflict often just feel tired a lot. They feel worn out because their nervous systems are constantly running that energy and it's draining. So here, who wants to believe that they're not worthy of love? I don't. So, what if you believed I am worthy of love? How would you feel? I'd feel joyful, excited, open hearted, calm, peaceful, motivated. Like, I just feel way more expansive. I actually feel like my heart's more open when I say those words. And as a result, I might be more kind to myself. I'd probably be open to new experiences. I spelled experiences wrong. Sorry about that. I might show up differently in relationships and I might ask for what I need. So just think what might be possible if I truly felt that I was worthy of love. Think about that. What could be possible? So now you're going to take that negative thought that you had, that belief, and I want you to plug it in right there, right into the thought. So you can take a circle or 4 circles on a piece of paper and plop that belief right into that top circle. And then I want you to take a few moments, and you may need to pause this, and I want you to take it through the thought loop. I want you to think about what are the feelings I've been having with this belief? What are some of my behaviors? And obviously, what's been the result? Well, clearly you don't have what you want, so that's partly the result. But what else has manifested from this negative belief? So if you want, you can pause it and just run through the thought loop and be honest with yourself. Don't fake this. There's no growth in not showing up, so be real. So now, hopefully, you took the time to do that. So here's what I want you to do. What would you need to believe in order for you to have the thing that you want? So for you to have a soul mate epic relationship, what is the belief that you would have to accept about yourself? And I ask you, sometimes it's not as simple as going the opposite. So be mindful that you choose a word, or I should say a phrase, that really resonates with you, that really feels believable. So a lot of our subconscious will be able to literally accept the new program if right now it feels believable to you. So whatever it is that you desire, I want you to think, what belief would I have to adopt to get to the thing that I desire? So I want you to then take that through the thought loop. This is my new belief. These are my feelings. These are my behaviors. And this is the result. And maybe at some point you have practiced this. You recognize, wow, there was a time I was feeling more this. So I want you to start to see that your thoughts are ultimately going to create your experience. And just imagine what would be possible for you with a new belief system. A lot of great things. I happen to choose pictures that represent my life and what I've stepped into, which is wonderful partnership because of the new belief system that I acquired. I have a history of having a lot of pain in relationships, and I did a lot of work on myself. In fact, I stopped dating for 2 years to really develop that new belief. I now have abundance. I'm actually going to Sedona again here in a few months, and I've done a lot of healing. So what would be possible for you? This is just a fun little share. Patrice had emailed me this beautiful testimony. She was in a lot of struggle when we met. And one of the first things that she started to notice with her work was her whole mindset shifted. And she started to feel better and she started to believe in herself. And as a result, she started making more money. New opportunities started coming her way simply because she started shifting. So, thank you so much for watching this presentation. I want you to know that you are now you've got a whole new trajectory ahead of you. This is really the beginning of you changing your life. This is something I incorporate into my coaching practice, usually from the beginning. And there's a lot of other tools that I bring in to help people really anchor those new beliefs because most of us still have some resistance. So I want you to practice being in the feeling of the new belief. And if you want, you can reach out to me. I'd love to hear what shifts for you. You can just send me an email because I love when people have a shift because I am really here to help wake people up to their power and their magic. This world needs more light beings on this planet. So thank you for watching. You can subscribe on my website so you can stay in the know about workshops and events. And if you feel called to have me speak at your organization or you want to work with me one-to-one, then you can email me. You can also fill out a form on my website. All right. Thank you so much. Good luck creating your new beautiful reality. I'll see you later.